Hi, I'm Ricky Fort and welcome to the Real Estate 101 podcast. Join me as I lift the lid on the real estate industry and share some great stories from behind the scenes. Like and subscribe and enjoy this episode. Ricky Fort from Geelong Real Estate Co here with the Real Estate 101 podcast. Spicy stories from behind enemy lines and some great stories about people who've done well, not so well, and everything in between. So today I've got a very special guest, Feroz Basha. It's a ex-customer of mine from way back with a great story. So mate, welcome.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you for having me here.
So true or false, you're a comedian on the side?
I try to be. I'll try not to be funny today.
Well, no, what a great story though. But you actually do stand up.
Yeah, I do stand up. Yes, as a hobby, not as a full time job. I love to get paid for doing stand up, but you know, it's not a well paid thing at the moment.
No, that's it. But pretty cool story. Like, how'd you get into that? What's the?
Oh, well, I've been on theatre. I've been doing theatre for a long time.
Yeah.
I love being up on stage and an MC. I've been doing wedding MC and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
what's your best wedding MC gag? It's got to keep it PG.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. No.
We'll come back.
We'll come back to that.
We'll circle back to that. It's one of those things when you once you do one MC gig, everyone wants you to do theirs.
Yeah.
So I've been sucked into doing a few in my
good.
time as well. Good way to kill a few hours on a Saturday. But
Yeah, well, I like free beers as well.
Yeah. That's it, mate. So the whole idea of getting you on the show today was to talk about obviously what you guys went through. Obviously, what year was it?
2019 to
2018, 2019.
2018, 2019. I think when it started, and it took 4 years.
So we'll get into it, but basically I'll give the higher level thing, and you get granular with what happened. But so obviously you guys, syndicate of friends, reached out to me, obviously, and to other agents at the time. But you had a project that you were looking to sell. Development, a 2-lot subdivision development in Newtown here. So and it was it was one of the hardest stories of adversity, and because that company didn't go well and things. So I'm keen to kind of start from the start, I guess. Like, tell people about your group of mates. Like, so was there three?
Four of us, yeah.
Four boys, all similar age, similar demographic. And just tell each other, tell the listeners, obviously, how you guys met and whose idea it was to. Yeah, you went to a seminar and all that sort of stuff, but maybe start from the start. Like, where did you guys meet?
So Siva and myself have been really, really close friends for a long time, and Siva actually went to the workshop, one of the, the usual, property workshops where there's an opportunity to learn something new. And
so someone ran a seminar in the local paper and said,
correct,
come along, listen to how we invest in real estate.
Correct. So he met somebody there, and then he came back and met with me and said, Feroz, I've been listening to this, and this seems to be quite interesting, and it seems to be a full-on turnkey package, without knowing a lot about property investment, things like that. I thought, why not?
Yeah,
let's give it a go.
How old were you guys when you?
47 now, probably early 40s.
So you'd done a little bit beforehand, but so obviously, you went to someone went to a seminar. They heard about, invest in us. So what they were kind of promoting, that they could do everything for you. Like, they'd find the site.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It was end to end.
So they'd find the site. They would do. Like, get demolition permits. They would show you.
They'll do the permits. They'll do the planning. They'll find the builder. We were open to go get quotes, but but they had the quotes already, and then they'll go through the building plan, choice of selection.
And so they select the property. They literally do everything.
Everything into it.
You guys just pay for it.
You just have to pay for it. It's one we. There are initial signs there, but you're naive, I would probably say. Just look at them, because the fees itself is quite a lot in there. So there's the property identification fee, and then there's another design fee, and then there's so much other fees. And then we did the whole project after 4 years. We realized the only group that actually made the money was the actual development group who brought the deal in there, right? So we were left with nothing. But end of the day, going back to the starting of the story. So we found this, and we found the group, and we had a chat with them. Very professional.
Yeah. So how did tell us about the four boys? Like, you sitting down, obviously over a coffee or for dinner or whatever. Like, and someone said, "Hey, I've got this idea. This is the crux of it. They do everything for us. Who's keen?" Like, tell us a bit more about how that conversation went.
Well, it was quite exciting, because we thought, not knowing anything about doing actual full-on development. We have had investment properties. You always buy one and then you buy another one and then you rent the previous one. That's how most people do it, right? But this came in as a full on turnkey solution where you buy, you subdivide, and then you're putting two townhouses side by side in there, and somebody's actually sort of hand holding you in through the whole journey.
Yep.
So I thought it's a good thing to learn. So we'll try ourselves, getting brick wall somewhere in the middle. So we thought, we'll go learn from these guys. But it wasn't really learning. It was because they were doing end to end. All we're doing is pretty much signing paperwork.
Yep.
So going back to your question, sitting down with the boys and having the conversation, it was more about what can we learn from this. Once we do this as a group, can we do more of this? And that's how the whole strategy planned out. So, we want to do everything properly. So we went and sat with accountants and made sure the structure was there. So we invested money in creating companies and structures and family trusts and things like that, because we said the goal was we're not going to stop at this.
Yep.
Right. So we had all the right intentions. That's how it all started. From a strategy and target perspective, then we wanted to do it more and more of those.
Yeah. And so we'll fast forward, but we'll kind of come back. But essentially, it essentially turned to shit. So the builder struggled to get it done. It took 4 years.
4 years, end to end, 4 years.
So just a simple knock down a house, build two, sell them.
Yeah.
Instead of taking 12 months or whatever they probably initially quoted, it took 4 years. Yeah. Obviously, lots of holding costs, lots of pain and stuff in between. But I just kind of wanted to let people know why they should stay listening to the story. People got attention spans like goldfish, mate, if you're anything like me. But so basically, you guys met, you signed the dotted line. Yep. I guess when was the first time that you kind of had red flags like, fuck, maybe there's something going on here, maybe?
It was the first delays that actually started when we started realizing there's red flags in there.
Nowadays there's delays, so
it's so common.
It's common, but back then, obviously, I'm sure they promised a pretty good service, like it's going to be quick. And so tell us a bit more about that.
So, I mean, you're spot on, right? Building delays is just a common thing now, and price changes are very common as well. We had a fixed price contract at the time, and it was almost 7 years ago. And I think we wanted to sell something off the plan, because that was our advice we were getting as well. Sell one off the plans, at least that, because we were almost self-funded, right? So we went to the bank and we funded the primary purchase of the block itself.
Just to get a little bit granular, so obviously prices have changed, but it's still subjective, right? But tell people about, so what was, if you remember 7 years ago, and you've done a few deals since then, but do you remember what the purchase price was?
500 odd. 500 odd for the block of land.
Yeah. And it was like 700, or it was a large block split down the middle.
Yeah, split down the middle. Yeah.
So 500.
It was back. It was facing the back of the property had a huge nature strip. I think it's a backyard it
was a barn
reserve.
Water,
yeah,
it was a barn water easement, and it faced onto I think it's called Elko Reserve. But it was the Elko Reserve. Exactly right. The back was facing the Elko Reserve, so we did a lot of design decisions when we did the drawings. Taking the aspect of the
and then they didn't have balcony in the back. They had balcony in the front, and the wall. You flipped it. We were trying to do the right things.
The plans ended up being really good, but anyway,
that's
so. As I said, so you've started. You signed the dotted line. The house gets knocked down. When was the first time you're like,
So
not loving these guys?
So I think when we engaged you with the plans and permits, it was probably just on sticks, I think. The frames had come up.
Yep. But surely there'd been delays to that point.
No, the first two phases were actually pretty quick.
Because I was going to say,
because it was a drawdown, right?
I got to know you guys better over the time, but it felt like at the time, either as it went on, that either you guys had kind of kept it to yourself that it was not going well because you didn't trust me, or you didn't want me to know. And the typical real estate agent use it against you or whatever. But when I first met you, I didn't really see any problems. I'd never heard of that builder. And we're not going to talk about the builder. It's not about sledging people. I don't even think they're around.
No,
but anyway, so it's not about that. It's not about who to avoid. The story is going to be more about do your due diligence, look into it further, blah, blah, blah. And also we'll finish the story on how you've gone on to do some other pretty exciting things. So it's not all doom and gloom, but so obviously stick framing, and then it started to slow down.
It did start to slow down, and then the weather was getting bad. We were worried about the timber and everything getting rotted in water as well. But then what we also found was there was a point that we realized that the builder was struggling.
Yeah,
that's when we had actually been called in to have conversations.
They'd called you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so because there's the whole thing, the way it was structured was as this management company.
This is people need to listen to this.
Exactly.
I hated this thing for you guys. It was so slippery. Everyone was happy to wipe their hands and that's not us. Like Yeah.
So there's this management company, right? So even, I mean, sitting down and thinking back, when you sent me the questions, I was like, oh, okay, sitting down and thinking back, it was all almost like pretty organized, right? So
from their end.
Yeah.
100%.
So Siva went to this workshop and he met this person there who was not even associated to this management company who was actually selling this products, right? That person actually got commissions in bringing people in, right? That's, yeah. And then the management company had their associated builders to that, right? To them, and the quotes and everything from their preferred builders. But we were told you were open to get your own building contract, but we were like, if you're doing end-to-end.
I think when it's presented like that, you're welcome to go. It's almost built like it's designed to build trust.
Yeah.
Like, well, if they're open to me getting a quote, I probably don't need to.
Yeah.
Like,
that is true. And then there was a point, as we recall, it all started to slow down. And we were called in to have this meeting. Because we were chasing up what's going on. I
know you guys were proactive, because were you paying interest only or what?
Interest only. We were paying interest only, but the construction drawdown was happening.
Yeah.
And then the construction.
So was it like 20% at front?
30%, 30, 20, and then 5, and then 20, then the last 5 remaining. So, and we knew that the last 2 drawdowns was only like 40 grand or something. It's probably less than 5% of the overall project value, right?
Yep.
Construction value. So which means we knew that by the end of the last 2 drawdowns that should have been completed, at least 80 to 90%, and you knew it wasn't. There's so many things still pending. And we were called in to have a conversation, and we were like also approaching them with what's going on. And then when we sat down, they basically said, well, the builder's struggling at the moment. And that's when we started doing some due diligence, and we found that the builder actually had another court case actually pending on them, some other violation.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shock, and
it would have been hard.
It was so hard, right? Because
was there a point where, and hopefully you're happy to share this, but doesn't matter how good a friend you are, I'm sure there's a point where people are not pointing fingers, but people are pretty fucking disappointed that they've got themselves in this position. It's like, whose fucking idea was this? Like,
obviously they didn't tell to us. Like Siva and myself were the initial, when Siva met the people in the workshop, and then he shared the idea with me, and then we sat down and he thought, well, we don't have the capital to do it on our own. How about we get a couple of more other friends to join us? And then me and Siva are the ones who are running around doing all the, pretty much having the conversations, all the paperwork and stuff. The other 3 were pretty quiet. Silent. But then we felt we were answerable to them because we dragged them into this. So there's a lot of guilt going on between Siva and myself as well, right? Why did we? I mean, they were sitting there and going, maybe we should not have dragged these people in there, right? Other friends in there. We should have either done it ourselves, or we should not have done it at all.
Yeah.
So there was sort of a lot of mental distress going on at that time as well, because we felt sorry for the other friends, because we were friends. One of the friends, I've known him since kindergarten.
I'm glad you're happy to share that story, because I don't think it resonates or it gets as deep. Just hearing the high level stuff, I knew it was a grind, and because you guys are all, not based in Geelong, I was going there regularly, like sending Siva photos because they were saying, I just remember being so frustrated. They were promising, by Monday this will be done by, I'm like, boys. And it had happened like not once or twice or 3 or 4 times. It had happened like 15, 20 times where they'd promise stuff. I'm going there, I'm like, guys, no one's been here. Or you go to the job site and it's unlocked, or it's like, and just the quality that they were doing, you just had to keep checking and checking and checking. And so, look, if things are slowing down, you have this conversation, you probably start to shit yourselves, but you keep pushing forward.
We keep pushing because we also, we did things proactively again. We went and got contacted another builder through a friend, and then get him to come around, have a look at their site, and then ask us to give a quote. And then that was almost half the price of the construction quote that we already had to finish it off. And we already had 80% paid off to the existing builder. So it was not feasible. So we were preparing for the worst case, and we wanted to get out of it. It was the moment we were sitting there and going, all right, we have to get out of this. It's been 3 years now. We have to finish it off.
And you've drawn down, so you paid 500 grand for it. You paid 80% of the construction, and it's probably 50% complete.
Correct. Yeah,
it's a shit spot to be.
Yeah, and then we actually put in 400 in total in cash out of pocket, and for which that came out of our own investment.
At least not to be overly positive, but at least that wasn't all finance, right? You're paying 6 or 7%.
Well, the building had some finance into it, and then the construction was 100% finance, right? Yep. So it's the building finance was actually drawn in. So that the holding cost for 4 years and the interest we paid
Essentially chewed up your profit.
It pretty much ate the profit, and we sold right at the COVID dip as well. So everything can actually go wrong, happen wrong for us, right? If that had finished in time, and if you had sold it in time, we would have actually made a really good, as it was on paper, it would have met the 20% an ROI. On that thing, but because of the drag,
that's what was so hard, because I know everyone's intentions were good, the project was good, the location that they bought in prime Newtown, they bought back in onto a reserve, north facing aspect, everything on paper. That's why I felt so bad for you guys, because genuinely on paper it made sense.
Exactly. So
you're not just a couple of greedy blokes got no idea, just trying to make a quick buck. It was a proper project with a good quality product.
And another thing that we didn't realize as well is the GST portion of it. So when we did our numbers and when they did the paperwork as well, the GST portion was not really clear. So because being a registered company and claiming GST and stuff, so that actually took another 10% of their whole profit as well. So again, when
did you find that part out?
That's when almost getting to the sale. That was actually another shock as well. So for your listeners, I'll definitely say, if you're actually doing syndicates and structures and stuff, you need to understand how the GST portion works. How is it going to affect your end margin? End profit is something that they need to really, really, really work on and think about early on when they do their due diligence and they come out.
That's good advice. I wasn't expecting you to bring that up, so I'm glad. Yeah. So what questions should they be asking the accountant or the financial planner? What?
Even before you go to the financial planner, I think they should have a proper due diligence process done. So then they need to really work out whether they're going to how their structure is going to be, how the investment structure is going to be, and work with the accountant if that investment structure is actually suitable for them, their position and things like that. It's very individual focused as well, and what they want to do, if they're going to buy and sell, if they're going to keep, all of those factors come into effect. And this I've actually learned post this, right?
And that's a hard thing, learning the stories after the fact, but it is what it is. So I guess you've had those meetings, we're struggling to get through it. And I remember I came to you or Siva or someone mentioned, do you think you'd know anyone that would be willing to buy it? So you're at that crossroad, you've got not even 80%, maybe 60, 70% complete project that, the builder's struggling. You've done your research to sell this to to get someone to finish the project is going to cost us a packet. We're probably going to make a loss here. I'd rang around and found some builders that were happy to take it on, but again, the price was going to be reflective of the risk.
Exactly.
No one was doing well here.
Yeah, and the market has shifted as well. So,
So I guess what made you be like, nah, fuck it, we're going to get this bastard finished no matter what.
Yeah. And that's how we actually sat on the negotiation table with the actual project management company. We just basically sat down and said, okay, what do we need to do to actually finish this off? And that's when we forego the rights for delay claim.
Yep.
Right. So it's because there's actually...
I didn't know about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we have a claim to charge back
penalty interest. Yep.
So we basically forego the rights in commitment to finishing this project.
Yep.
Otherwise,
so they had a conversation with you and say, look, if you would be willing to drop X, then we would do Y.
Correct. Yeah. And that's when they came back and also said, we'll try and prioritize yours and finish or somehow find because we were not going to put any more money into the builder to actually finish.
We're done.
Whatever the contract value is, you got to finish to that.
Yeah.
The project's been dragging for 3 years now. Obviously, the prices have shifted. Yeah, but that's not a problem.
You guys are so patient, and I know people. There would have been blood lost. It was bad.
Yeah, and I think it came down to Siva as well. He's him. He's very patient, and he was like, "Let's persevere."
He's a good man.
Persevere. Some of the times, some of the other partners have actually lost the patience as well. They didn't show it to us, but obviously, you could tell that they would have the conversation, and it was really frustrating because it actually things people don't understand is when you get into these partnership deals, we think about only the people involved in there, but then it actually flows back into the family.
Of course, it does,
right? And my missus and everyone's going, what's going to happen?
Yeah, are we going to be all right?
Yeah,
are we okay?
Yeah, we put all the money, whatever we had in our savings, into this deal.
What if it doesn't work? We lose everything.
Yeah,
we lose our house.
Yeah.
Did you have your house tied up as collateral for finance to do that?
Yeah, that's another thing, right? That's another thing because all the directors had to guarantee.
Yeah.
Right. And
so I guess you do have safety in numbers, I guess, but also the risk is still huge.
Yeah. On all because all the four directors had provided guarantee.
Yeah.
That guarantee came up in every other deal that I wanted to do. I didn't know about the others, but every time I wanted to do something else,
outside of it,
I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'll go to just when I said not even doing another deal, we wanted to upgrade. We wanted to move from another house. We wanted to buy a house.
The bank's like, no way.
The bank's like, no, you've got a liability there sitting around $2 million there. Can't do anything. So we were not able to, buy our own house for 4 years until this is complete.
Yeah.
So that's another thing,
Brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. So
obviously, we got past that. We got the project finished. We were lucky enough, and it was the frustrating part is once I actually got given the keys, the finished product. I think we ended up selling it in it was a couple of weeks, right? We got it done, but the hard thing for you guys, obviously, all the meat on the bone was gone, just based on interest over such a long period of time. The market had come back at that point.
Yep.
But look, I think my favourite part of the story about you is the perseverance story, and a lot of it's that fork in the road moment, right? And a lot of people either give up and crack the shits or never want to invest again or never want to take another risk, and you'd be well within your rights to do that. But obviously that's not you. We don't need to speak about the rest of the group and what they're doing, but we'll quickly go into it. But you've dusted yourself off and you found another avenue that's pretty exciting that no one else on this podcast has spoken about. Tell us a bit about what you're doing nowadays.
Definitely. One thing I've actually done after coming out of this whole thing, I found myself a mentor.
Yep.
Right. I think that was really, really important. So this is somebody I knew for a long time, and he's been in the industry, same industry. We used to work together on IT, and he pivoted and went on to doing property mentoring. So I've been in touch throughout the whole Geelong project itself and in keeping him updated. And he was always saying, too good to be true, Feroz. Keep an eye, let me know, keep how you go.
Yeah.
But then end product came out and,
you're like, you bastard, you were right.
Yeah, I was like exactly the same. But then I actually, went and signed up to being a mentor. Can I mention his name or?
Yeah.
So Dean Parker is his name. Yeah, Dean Parker. He's Brisbane based. He's actually really, I've known him for 20 odd years, and now I'm actually.
Well, listeners, do your own due diligence.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on the show.
Exactly. Yeah. So do your own due diligence, whatnot. But since I've actually taken the mentorship and been guided by him and the things that he's actually doing. So one of the things I've picked up from what he's actually doing is the rooming houses, and finished the product at the moment, and it's fully leased and I can't wait to do more.
Right. So tell people a bit more about what this is. So it's where obviously you're building from the ground up.
Yep.
So sourcing a block of land, similar to last time, sourcing a block of land, finding plans that suit the purpose.
Yep.
Building and then retaining.
Yep. Retaining it.
So previously you'd been flipping.
Yep.
You'd been selling stuff. So your now retention's around obviously just great rental returns.
Yep, correct.
Building equity, doing it again.
Yeah. One of the things as a mentor he asked me to set was, what was my goal?
Yep.
All right. The goal was to have a income stream set up.
Yep.
Right. So, and based on that goal, we went on to do, so if you wanted to do an income stream setup, then you want to retain.
Yep.
And the best possible rental income that was able to provide was the rooming houses.
What sort of percentage and stuff are you getting out of like income coming back in? Obviously, if you've got a normal house in Armstrong Creek, for argument's sake, it's $600 a week on the normal rental market for a for a high quality 4-bed, 2-bath, 2 living. What sort of returns and stuff are you seeing out of your projects?
So it's quite a lot because in Victoria you're able to do 9 rooms in a property and up to 12 people.
When I first heard about this, I've got to be honest, I was skeptical. I was like, this is going to turn into a ghetto but you found a different audience for this.
Yeah. We actually, the way Dean's actually doing it is also what we're doing in Victoria at the moment is targeting professionals as opposed to the traditional shared housing being run down, moldy bathrooms, standard houses being converted into one bathroom for like 10 people or 9 people in there.
And obviously, you don't need to be too intelligent to figure out the demographic of people that are going for that, right? They're low income, got bad rental history, bad credit, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Whereas that's not your audience.
No, not at all. So the rent is actually definitely put slightly higher than the standard shared accommodation. It's completely styled, professionally maintained. You got cleaners coming in every week, and then looking after the common areas.
And so fully furnished.
Fully furnished as well. All my tenants at the moment either work in the IT space, or there's a chiropractor. There's a physiotherapist. There's a teacher. There's a banker. So they're all professionals.
And in yours, they've got like kitchenettes and their own en-suites.
They have en-suite. They have their own walk-in wardrobe. They have a kitchenette. You're not allowed to cook in there. There's a common kitchen. But they have a kettle toaster and things like like the microwave
just
and
the
their own,
basic plug-in stuff.
they have their own private fridge as well.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of cupboard space.
Yeah.
And
it's
I
a
think
very different vibe, as you
Correct.
said, a traditional house that's just been converted, jam as many human beings
Correct.
in, like, and I think it's that whole rape and pillage mentality of like a landlord trying to screw every last cent out of people, but you're offering a different product.
Yeah, it is, and it's actually, as I said, it's targeted towards professionals who would want to have that private space. I mean, and also thinking about it, everyone wants to be by themselves these days, and it's the high speed internet is included. Everything is actually paid for.
Tell people about the returns that you're getting out of it, because obviously it's essentially a finance, it's a real estate podcast. People want to know, talk dollars and cents.
Yeah. If
you're getting $600 a week for a 4-bedroom house as a traditional rental, what are you getting out of this sort of thing?
Around about $3,000 a week. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a lower end. And if you actually, depending on the location and the primary cost of the land and your total project value, it could be quite a high return investment.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't quite.
Good way to rebound. Good way to rebound from what you're doing.
Exactly. That I think that's what the biggest learning, right? When we spoke about, we want to talk about the positive things. I think the positive things has been coming out of the learning, finding somebody who I'll go back again, get a mentor. If you're doing this, find a mentor.
Yeah. It's an old rip off and duplicate. Kind of just find out what someone's doing and copy that.
Yeah.
And it always goes back to the old, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, which you've found out the hard way.
Yep.
It's a good warning for everyone else. So for people that are looking to do this sort of thing, obviously, where do they start?
Everything starts with due diligence. One of the things my mentors taught me is due diligence. We do complete due diligence. We do it before even going and looking at a property, putting an offer, and we do complete assessment end to end. Like what's the price, what's the cost, what's the holding cost, what's the potential returns going to be, and then what's the valuations going to be at the other end. What is the demographics that can actually fit in there? Is it actually is the commute? Is there enough commute in there for the type? Because everyone actually living in shadow accommodation, not necessarily. We don't want 9 cars that parked in the street. What is the inconvenience for the street itself? Which means that it's close to public transport, close to hospitals, close to shopping centre, university, whatever that may be.
Have you, just out of interest, getting off topic, but have you found any sites in Geelong that you think is there an audience for this in Geelong?
There is that. It's one of my tenants actually. The physiotherapist is actually moving out of my property at the moment. He's moving to Geelong.
Yep.
And he's asked me the question: do you got something like this in Geelong? So it's like not yet at the moment. So we'll find out.
Are you open to it?
Yes, I am very open to it. Yeah, we will definitely, if we can find the right size block in the right location, I'll be ready to do one straight away because the one is complete. I'm looking for a block for the next one.
Spicy. Has it put you off altogether doing stuff with other people?
Yes. Because one of the things with the
you just don't want to be responsible for other people. Like you're a big boy, you can handle yourself.
Yeah. Not only that, it also about you. As I said earlier, you become suddenly constrained by that conscience of you're responsible for that person's success or failure.
Yeah.
And that I think I'm not ready yet.
Yeah. You've been burnt hard, so I don't blame you.
Yeah. So there's even a question about this whole rooming house I'm doing at the moment. For the next one, there was questions about would you do a JV? Because if you didn't have enough cash to do the next one, my builder was like, would you do a JV? I said, look, I'm not ready yet for JV.
What's JV for?
Joint venture.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, not ready yet. I don't want to know whether I can work with other people and I can be responsible for their success or failure yet.
Yep.
I would love to do it at the moment individual.
Yeah. No, good call, mate. Well, as I said, it's the whole idea of the podcast, and every episode is going to be for someone different. But I think it's this episode's about 2 things. One, it's about perseverance, and when stuff doesn't go right, not packing it up and not giving up, having another go. But it's also around doing your due diligence, and if things sound too good to be true, it probably is.
It is. Yeah.
And maybe the third thing is around joint ventures. You know what I mean? Making sure if you're going to do something with someone else that you're really on the same page, that everything's shared, right? Not just the profit and loss, but the risk, the mental side of it. Because it's all good. Everyone, if every story was just about everyone making cream and making shitloads of money to be great, doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
But as I said, mate, thanks so much for coming on, and it's a great story, and I'm glad you can share it, and you're a legend. I can't wait to do business again.
Yeah, pleasure for having me here. Thank you so much for your time as well.
Legend. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Cool.